down. Please pass your papers to the right. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. Well, all the actions can be at the podium today, and you're not even wireless. So just kind of pivot your butt in your seat, or else you're going to get a crick in your neck. Just point at me. I will be replaced by a succession of soon-to-be successful, and some actually successful serial entrepreneurs. It's A2 New Tech, May 2010. We have 6. That's 5 with a rounding error. We have 6 fine entrepreneurs come to tell us about their company for 5 minutes. And we instruct them not to pitch, but rather to talk with a very friendly room of fellow technology entrepreneurs about what their innovations are, and to encourage them to ask really mind-blowingly difficult questions to make their companies even better. That's your job. My job is to get you to do your job. So if I'm doing my job, it's because you did your job. So what's your job again? Really hard questions. And you don't have a hand around mic. So that makes it even harder for you. Sure you want to be in this room and not the one where they're taking the test. Our first company used to be called Bebaroo, and now it's called Bebaroo. It's my close and personal friend, Luis Calderon, who was an original organizer of this A2 New Tech meetup. And I think, Luis, have you rotated through? No? You're still an organizer. Good. Okay, he just organized his own talk, right? So a little nepotism there, but that's okay. This is the Netflix of baby clothes. Question. If it comes to you sterile, you have to return it sterile. Please follow.
And Alan. Well, not if you show up early and plug it in.
We actually did.
Comes out of their phone, right? When we have our group meetings, we have 2 minutes to be done speaking.
Throw up your monitors. I gotta tell them every time. Oh? Yes.
Oh, there you go. All right. Hello, my name is Alan. This is Luis, and we are Bebaroo. So this business idea came from my family relative who recently just had a baby. So we understand that having a kid is very valuable and very important. You know, when they're 1 or 2 years old, you know, they're young, they're cute, they're adorable, but they grow faster and faster and bigger, and next thing you know, they walk out to college. Facts. Babies between 0 to 3 years of age grow out of their clothing size every 2 months, 10 pieces of clothing per item, $150 per change. And I've seen this with my own eyes. My aunt will buy this, that, oh my god, I love this, I like that monkey costume. And then all of a sudden, bill stacks up, and then last thing she says, honey, what just happened? There has to be a smarter way for parents to buy baby clothes, and that's where Bebaroo comes into play. We are an online baby clothes rental service. And this is how it works. First, you create an account with us, create your list of baby clothes online. Then, we rush you the baby clothes from the list that you have. Once you finish with the clothes and you feel like you want to rent out new ones, you simply return it back for express mail and get new ones from your list. Then, the received clothes that we've returned back will go through the quality control center where we're going to do the sanitizing, UV rays, hermetically sealed bags, ready for a re-rental. And that's how Bebaroo works. Easy as 1, 2, 3, and 4. So Bebaroo has 2 main target audience. First, obviously, is the newlywed families with their firstborn. And also, we're also targeting the family, friends, and grandparents and market for gift registry. understanding that baby showers and gifts take up more than 50% of a newlywed family for their firstborn with the baby gears. And now, Luis will talk about revenue model.
So just quickly, we had some issues with knowing the fact that clothes have different durability and they cost differently. So we came up with the idea of using a buckaroo. Each buckaroo will get you 1 month's rental for a regular brand like Bebaroo or Baby Gap. 3 buckaroos will actually get you some nicer clothes. You can get different buckaroos for different subscription prices. So 5 buckaroos will get you, for $35 will get you 5 buckaroos. So for example, you sign up for a $35 5 buckaroo plan, you get these 5 items for a month. And they're going to be the popular brands that you want. Parents would normally spend about $140 on this set of clothes for 2 months, or $70 per month. You get this for just 35 bucks. So the market today has about $45 billion of parent spending on kids. Online, that is about $5 billion, growing at a 10% CAGR. Our company is really focused on 3 C's. The first one is cleanliness. We're going to guarantee cleaner than new clothing. The second is convenience. We're going to have very easy to order. Grandparents can order. Anybody can just do their stuff online, get it at home, not have to return it. And selection. We're long tail. We give you all kinds of options. We beat our competition on those 3 C's, and we're cost competitive on the value side. So our financials are really good. To keep it shorter on, if you keep it on the 30 seconds, by year 3, with $14.6 million in sales, about 20,000 kids, which is 1% of the online market, were profitable. The exit's even better, 60% margin business. At 250,000 infants, which is 2% of the whole pie, we give you $150 million in revenue by year 5, or 15 to 20x ROI, so get in early. So we're Bebaroo. Thank you for your time. 3 key things that we're really looking for is a UX guy to really make this business. We need a female in our team, hopefully somebody that's been a mother, really become the face of our company. And we need a logistics expert.
Is there a logistics expert in the house?
I think you win the title.
No, I'm not. I'm seeing a big one.
So questions? Hard ones. Make us cry.
Have you done any, like, I don't know, research or if parents will actually buy used clothing?
Will parents actually buy used clothing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are.
How many kids you got, Kyle?
0.
There are brick and
How
mortar.
did I know that?
There are brick and mortar stores already out there. People who've already had 1 child understand this problem. So it's really the second child people who get this really well. We're just replicating the online model. We've actually done surveys. About a 60 plus is the good sample size that we had, and people love this idea. In fact, we've got people begging us to be part of our pilot that we're trying to launch in the next month.
How do you get to the critical mass of inventory? How do you get people to put their clothes, their used clothes, into the system so that they do have that selection?
So we're actually not at the beginning taking clothes from people because there's all kinds of quality control issues they got to deal with there. But so what we're proposing is as you roll up, you buy the clothes that people order from their queue. So the first 3 to 5 clothes that you want, those are the ones we go out and buy. Now when we return them, they're back in our inventory for the next person.
It's a vaporware catalog. Very cool. Right here, and then Ed.
How long
Alan,
does a
sorry.
piece of clothing need to, or how many months does it need to be rented out for you to make your profit?
So we did the kind of a financial modeling process, and then understood that going through our buckaroo model, about a piece of clothing will help us go through about 2 or 3 years before it gets fully worn out, and at that point, we will no longer continue the rental service and simply sell it for a much cheaper retail price, between $1 or $5.
So I think there's some big questions there because some clothes might last less, which will be more expensive to replace. We've modeled in a very large turnover on inventory, so like 20–30% gets damaged, and then we have I think about half of it gets replaced every year. So we don't know. The answer to that is we don't know, and it's a very big sort of thing we have to resolve for this business model.
Ed.
How much seed capital to pilot it?
So currently we're looking for $250,000.
No. The pilot is 10 grand.
10.
So that'll be 10 or 20 beta customers, and it's an online sort of form you pay for it. So we think we should be running the pilot in the next, finish with the pilot. It'll take a little longer on the pilot because you have to have 2 cycles, so it'll take like 4 months. but we can probably get it running in the next month or so.
Right up here? And then you-
Sorry.
Right up here, and then you.
So, will you have free shipping like Netflix?
Yep.
Yes.
Then are you gonna have multiple distribution centers as well? You know, how they have them spread out?
Yeah, so that's because that's where Netflix evolved. So we're going to start regional first. I can't answer that question.
Right here.
Up to-
Female and a manager.
Up to what age are you planning on having clothing for? Because as children get older, they wear through their clothes much faster.
So 2 to 3 is what we're focusing on. So there's a size range in that 2 to 3 where we don't want kids who are running because that's a lot more tear. And these are, by the way, these are special item clothes. They're not your everyday onesies. They're your, nice dinner kind of things.
Eric and then Bill.
Yeah, have you partnered with a shipping company? Have you talked to shipping companies? And have you rolled that into your cost model?
So we've just done estimates from online to see what one box shipment costs, and it's $5.50 is what we came up with. I think partnering is a really good interest or idea. We might be able to outsource some of the fulfillment, but since we're really focused on QCing this, mom gets a dirty piece of clothing, we're pretty screwed because it'll get online really fast. We might have to do it ourselves. So,
Right here, and then up here.
Yeah, moms are going to be concerned about germs. You're going to have an online video showing your sterilization process?
absolutely. I'm ready to
You can't
seal.
put
We show you how dirty the stuff is on the rack. I mean,
Just to add on to that, we actually conducted a survey of about 60 people, as Luis talked about, and then it turns out that outerwear, special occasional dress-ups, are the ones that gets less damaged. And according to the survey, about 4 months or so is when it actually gets damaged, and we're going to get the clothes back before it's 4 months. And obviously, that's not going to happen. And most of those are actually onesies, daywears, or sleepwears.
Up here?
What if the people who don't return the clothes, will there be a charge for that?
Yep, it's prearranged. We can tell you if you don't return it, you get charged for it. But actually, I'm sorry, if you don't return it, you keep getting the monthly charge, right?
You're
But
ready.
if you lose it, then we'll charge you for the clothes.
Matt, 18 seconds.
Is it just clothes? What's next? I mean, what about cribs, bottles, bouncy seats, swings?
So one of our
toys?
expansion opportunity is obviously the toys, or maybe some higher age groups like kids market, and also having like an exchange market, like an eBay site, or having a social networking to have it a little bit more diverse.
Maternity clothes.
And maternity.
Bebaroo, Alan and Luis. All right, so it's FAQ time. A2 New Tech is an entrepreneurial meetup from, we started in the College of Engineering and quickly outgrew them, and we're continuing to outgrow the Ross School. There are several organizers of the A2 New Tech meetup here. Would you raise your hand to be recognized? Doug, Roger. Okay, I'll just raise that hand. Okay, you don't have to. My name is David, and I'm just wasting time until Jimmy gets up. Yeah, get up here. So,
Do all the plug-in stuff.
all right, so this has been a great month for entrepreneurship. We had Startup Weekend last week. We got Rough Capital Symposium was last week. This week, 2 days from today, Thursday, at the Holiday Inn North on Plymouth Road, New Enterprise Forum is doing their annual elevator pitch competition, which is terribly entertaining, and I hope you all go. And remember, the secret to getting into NEF is to be a GLEQ team. GLEQ teams, raise your hands. Nobody's raising their hands, just forget that whole hand raising stuff. So if you're a GLEQ team, of course, you're getting into NEF free. Your GLEQ teams turned in their executive summaries and business plans a week and a half ago, and are in excruciating, we're in the way judging phase. All right, I'm not going to tell you how to do this. You just have to do this. And Jimmy didn't want really me to tell you any of these things, but he's into the footwear. Okay. Paper Feet is our non-software start today. I know it was. I know. Can you wing it? Because your timer's going to stop. Right, this is real entrepreneurship, people. I went to the launch of the Spark 4, the Spark Station, the Sun 4 Spark Station in 1987 at Moscone Center. And Scott McNeely's up there. The thing crashes, blue screen of death. It's displaying error messages that Bill Joe never meant anybody to ever see. And he just kind of looks at the audience and he goes, that's a memo. That's just the real thing. There's more in there. Oh, you're on Windows? This is going to take. So let's thank our sponsors. What's so funny?
Commercial break.
Commercial break, yes. The one that we want to thank is, first is the Entrepreneur Adventure Club, the Ross School of Business, who's responsible for this beautiful room. This room was built by Mr. Ross, and he has the best of everything. We're very grateful to be in here, and to the Entrepreneurship Adventure Club for allowing us to be here. We're also grateful to GLEQ, A2 Geeks, and not Microsoft. And Zelda Institute. Starts time. All right.
Jimmy Tomczak.
All right, hi everybody.
Hi.
Sorry for the delay. It didn't come back from standby, but that's all right, I'm here. So I want to tell you about paper feet, which you got the little intro, that's footwear, which is maybe a little stretch for some of us, but we're all wearing shoes, hopefully. Myself, I guess, not included. But to jump right into it, I want to talk about paddleboarding. I want to go extreme, all out right now. So this is paddleboarding. Hawaii, you got started there, but if you're not really that extreme, then you might be sort of just hanging out on Lake Michigan with the dog, the wife, the family, however that might be. But why does that matter? Why am I here talking about that? Because once you get off that paddleboard, you're on the beach. And hopefully your beach doesn't look like this, but a lot of the beaches in Hawaii do. Those are lava rocks, and you know, if you've ever barbecued, you know what I'm talking about. You don't want to be stepping on that stuff. But to bring it home, bring it to Michigan, if you've been kind of hanging out on the Lake Michigan, or one of the local lakes, you know that you still have sort of dockside stuff happening. If you slivers, glass, or even just pavement hot enough to cook an egg. So what we came up with was just this footwear that's so paper thin, but yet you can carry it anywhere with you. So when you see the sign, you say no shirt, no shoes, no services, it's really no problem because you have a pair of paper feet in your pocket. They're portable, as you can sort of see. They're comfortable. That's like the number one thing. Safe, durable, eco-friendly, all that. Social good, I'll get to that more. But the affordability, okay, great. But why does all that matter? It matters because they're made of billboard vinyl. Eco-friendly. I mean, if you're driving down the road and you've seen a McDonald's billboard advertisement. It's 14 by 48 foot. They weigh about 80 pounds, and when they take them down, they just get thrown away. Instead of throwing them away, we made footwear out of them. You might see the bags or anything else. The footwear is instead of footwear, but we made shoes because. For the same reason that this is out there on the beach or wherever it's at, waterproof, strong, all these things are built into the billboard fabric. So it's a triple layer PVC, nylon, and then another layer of PVC. So instead of Vibram's 5 fingers, Vibram, however you choose to say it, which costs $100, these are 1/20th of the price, and you're sort of saving the world and your soul at the same time. So with that said, I want to talk a little bit about the social aspect, because that's sort of the, if it's not green, if it's not sustainability, it's sort of social entrepreneurship, which actually is really good. But we're not obviously about water, sort of food and that sort of thing, but we do have that waste responsibility to keeping stuff out of the landfill, creative reuse. And also we use ethical labor. It's all done locally. Pretty much everything is sourced and constructed and shipped within a 100-mile radius. I'll go back to that slide because I kind of blazed right through those, how they're made. It's a CNC fabric cutter. It's if you know the claw machine, it kind of goes like that, but really like a lot faster. And they just come out, and then we put some Velcro on it and call it good. Where we're going to sell them, sort of e-commerce and in-person as well. I want to get to the stories part because that's, okay, I'm out of time.
Do you have any stories that you would like to tell? This will be your first question. Make them quick.
So yeah. So if you go to paper-feet.com, you'll see a pre-order. And it's not just your average pre-order where you have, name, address, phone number kind of thing. We also said, what's your favorite store, like your favorite adventure? Tell us the time of your life. And give a little box, and people actually type out random stuff along with why paper feet. And there's just anything. I mean, pages upon pages of them. From, my adventure would be sneaking out into Cougar Hot Springs at night, and stuff about mermaids and 20 VW vans. People literally write pages, and it's just, you wouldn't believe it. Guadalajara, tequila, discreet Mexican cockfight, priceless. This is something somebody actually wrote. And in addition to just when they actually comment on the footwear, even though they haven't seen it yet, they say combines sort of two raging trends, the minimalist footwear and being green. So with that said, we don't just want to sell a product, we want to actually have it be sort of a movement. And that's why my final proposal is just this new web destination where I can get these stories, collect them, but also the video and the sort of Web 2.0 that comes into that. And I know everybody here's really good at that, so maybe you guys want to say something about that in your questions. No.
Next question, how fast can you scale how high?
Exactly, so that's a great question. That CNC cutter that I told you about, that I had a picture of, they can cut 10 pairs in 1 minute. So you can do the math we kind of did, and we found that we can do them cheap and fast. And not only can we make them out of billboard vinyl, it's the industry standard, this cutter and the machine and the software and everything. It's the same thing that American Apparel, VF, all these other companies use. So if we want to make, say, neoprene recycled footwear, we could do that. We also have a version where it has rubber on the bottom as well. So it's really how fast we can get the capital to make that happen.
Ed?
What's it cost per pair to make?
It costs roughly $2, all inclusive, and $1 for shipping because they're pretty lightweight. That's one of the other things is sort of offsetting your carbon footprint. If you're thinking like business traveler and what shoes should I pack, you don't really have to think about it when they fold flat and only weigh 2 ounces. So.
What's your margin being?
If you saw the slide, it says we want to sell for $9 at retail. So we want to sell, and it sort of breaks down from wholesale. So if it's $2 to make them, it goes to like $4 wholesale, double for like a distribution, and then all the way up if we were selling it off the site or at retail, roughly $5 to $15.
Yeah.
I have a pair of slippers I use at the Y to keep from getting MRSA.
Yes.
Is that a good place?
That's a perfect place.
I could just drop it in the laundry with the rest of the clothes?
Yep. They're practically dishwashers.
You get Bebaroo down there. All right, in the back. Yes, you.
Yeah. You were talking about how the shoes are very thin.
Yes.
Was there any research done whether if the thinness caused any pains in the foot?
No. Read Born to Run. It's a book by Christopher McDougall, and it's all about this vibrant footwear and the minimalist, the barefoot running, people that do 100-mile marathons barefoot, and how great it is for them. The back pain that they've had their whole life is gone. And I know that's kind of a stretch, but Google barefoot running and follow it on Twitter, talk about it, that sort of thing.
How durable are they?
So they hold up. That is a valid question, but they actually, as they wear, they actually get more grip. You'll see a footprint outline on the pair because the ink rubs off first, and then you go through the second layer, and they last a couple months at least. So I mean, if you're going to buy a $100 pair of foot glove things, then they might last you a year or so. If these only last a couple months, you can still buy X number of pairs and call it good.
Roger?
You have to take them off at the airport?
I just flew to Boston and New York to talk and do some other stuff with this, and unfortunately you do. They said any footwear. I said, is it what if it's so thin? And they're like, no, if it's on your foot, take it off. So.
How many times did you talk to them before they took you in the back room?
I have enough trouble when I.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I heard about that. Right here.
Do you have any problems with traction, like on a slippery surface? Are they fairly slippery, or do
they have enough grip that obviously the water, the whole thing, where you don't want to really be using them is like if you're riding a bike or something where you have like pedals digging into it, but the grip is enough to like get you by. And like we were talking about another recycled rubber bottom that you can also put on it for the extra money.
Right here.
Do you have any like intellectual property on the process to make them with a pattern?
Yeah, so they're patent pending, and we're also working on another design patent specifically for it. And the process is pretty straightforward, so we really want to go execution style, which is why I have this up on the screen about helping build this sort of community around it, so that Like I said, the list, close to 100 people that haven't even seen it, but still love it already, just seeing like 2 pictures on the website that's not even that great. You can check out Paper-Feet, but it's...
Right here?
You have a running version.
A running version, that's a great question. We actually revised, if Thomas Edison went through like 1,000 light bulbs, we went through like 30 of these already. And kind of what we ended up with is a multi-strap version so that it's not just like a thong sandal where it's really like a second skin. So you could run it if you wanted to, but you might want to wait for the rubberized version, just personal preference.
Last question, 4 seconds. I see 2 companies here. I see a retailer and I see a manufacturer.
Yes.
I'm only going to pay for one of them. Which one?
Retailer.
All right. Jimmy Tomczak, Paper Feet. That's real world, by the way. Some investors can hit you with that question. You have to answer it that fast.
Thank you.
All right. Susan, come join us, please. So I was noticing that you do raise your hand sometimes, like when you have a question, but not when I say, who thought that the meetup was at 7 and not at 6:30? Yeah, I saw you people striking there. All right, who does not want to raise their hand? All right, Susan Hardin is here. I'm very pleased to see every time Susan's got something new to show. And her company, MediaOnion, is going to demonstrate now Event Brains. And this is technology out of the National Center for Supercomputing Applications.
I was at the National Center for Supercomputing Applications 20-some years ago when the first web browser was built in Mosaic. This is a product of my own, which was developed about 6 years ago and has been in use.
Those fools, they could have had this. Susan Hardin.
So I'm going to introduce you a new product that we have called Event Brains. As I said, it's been in use as a web management tool for about 6 years on campus here at various different departments. Here's an event that was just run in Hanoi, Vietnam. The process, it's an event management system, it's a content management system. It does call for papers, proposals, review process, the scheduling, everything from pretty much start to end in managing an event. And the way to begin is for an event manager is to just start getting their website ready, and within a few minutes they can actually go through, create their logo. They can choose a text header only or a banner and or text and logo and a banner image, just like this event is just a banner. And then they can go through and customize the site so that it matches either their logo or their event or their own organization's website. And within minutes, they can start editing the different pages, getting different content on the pages to start promoting their site, their event as soon as possible, using a simple WYSIWYG editor. So you don't need a webmaster. People are able to do these events fairly quickly, get them up and running. The user center here shows that I'm involved in a lot of different events. As a manager, I've registered for several different events. I've also submitted proposals for events, so I can go in later and edit a proposal, or maybe go back and copy a proposal that I submitted for a conference and not have to remember where it is on my machine. I can get it through the system. These are a couple different events that are running right now. Shows just some simple variations on the style. Sky Conference is an event that's occurring in another month and a half. And it's one that's using, both these events have used the call for papers and proposals process, but I wanted to show it to you from the Sakai perspective. The first step is to set up your call for proposals types, and you can have an unlimited amount of calls for participation. For their call for presentations, I can walk them through the system, even if they've never done an event before. It's going to kind of teach them what they need to know about doing a call for papers and proposals. They ask them a lot of questions that help set up the form that is used for the call for proposals process. They can have tracks and sub-tracks, put their audience, customize the audience list, the types of presentation formats they want the users to select, and presets and presentation links. The idea is to get as much information from your submitter as possible so that during the review process, you're going to be able to make some decisions pretty quickly on which proposals you want to see in your conference. So as a reviewer, I would go in and start looking at the different proposals that were submitted. It's going to give me all the abstract information, the tracks that the person thought that they were most appropriate to be put into, but the event managers have the ability to change everything. It's also a voting process, which can be reviewed by the committee, and the ability to put in different comments on that can be a series of comments made about the proposal. After proposals are submitted and the review process is going through, someone's going to be setting up a schedule. They're going to be adding different time slots for each day. They're going to have the ability to rearrange their schedule as needed.
That's the money shot right there.
Actually, the next one was, but.
Let me kick off the Q&A by asking, how does it make money?
This is provided as a modular service. So there's a fee for using just a registration service. There's a fee for using the registration and the call for papers. There's also an exhibit management component of this as well.
That's cool. Right here?
What's your next slide?
Yeah.
So this timing feature is only the tip of the iceberg, if I can actually get my mouse to work. The schedule management is managed the same way. So we can add, delete, move session proposals around. It warns us when there is an over limit on the times. It actually won't let me select a presentation to put into this time slot if the speaker's already speaking in that same time slot. And if I happen to switch one around and not paying attention, it's going to yell at me and say, you can't put Aaron speaking back to back at the same time slot.
This is more of a suggestion because he had said that's the money shot. Given the 5 minutes and how fast you're going, I think you actually could have set up an event, skipped quickly to something to a full one, and had people realizing that you could set up an event within 5 minutes.
That's a good idea. That's like Julia Child.
The idea is why tell when you can show?
Right.
The only thing you may have had to do is do the little skip over to where you go to the full schedule
Right.
to demonstrate the ability of handling a packed schedule. But
It's very hard to even touch.
I mean, because I'm looking at your screens where you're showing the initial things, and it looks like you could sit there and go, and you have an event.
Yes.
Over here? No? All right, this looks very academic. Describe for me your corporate customer, the one who gets all the modules and pays the big money. Why did they buy this?
So you're looking at academic conferences mostly.
Yep.
The attendance is usually 100 to 600 attendees. They're looking at roughly 200 proposals being submitted they have to process. And instead of doing it by Excel spreadsheets and by email, they're being able to do it on the system, keeps everybody on the same page. You can see in one of the schedules there's 20 concurrent sessions within a time slot, and trying to manage all that at once. The other need for most people is the registration with PayPal payment and the ability to have multiple managers managing various components that are available. And over the last 6 years, we've gotten, I ran 22 events, mostly university or related organizations, open source, open courseware. And these are some of the numbers: 4,000 registrations, 2,800 collected in registration, or 280,000 collected in registration fees, and just a large number of proposals that have been managed.
Well, right here, and then you, Rick.
Most events run at venues that have rooms that are of differing sizes and can handle different number of attendees.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the ability to add that information so that you can schedule it more easily?
You do. When you create the time slots, you actually then go and create a set of rooms so that the two together build your schedule. And in the room setup, you say this is it's set up as conference style, and there's only 12 people that can fit in this room, or else it's 30 people can fit in this room, or it's a large banquet hall. So on the schedule, if somebody's getting ready to put a presentation into that room, they know whether or not, if it's a really big draw, they're not going to want to put it in one of the smaller rooms.
Rick, let me take cuts for a second. If you get too many registrations for a small room, is it smart enough to recommend you get a bigger room?
Yes.
Rick?
Competition.
I haven't been able to do market research, but I did a redevelopment of the full product in the last 9 months. But 9 months ago, there were 3 companies, one in the UK, one in Canada, and myself, who offered the complete package. And in fact, the method that I use for the interactive scheduling, I think, is only offered by one other person.
There's another.
And again, this is 9 months old. Okay.
Is there an ability for people on site to, I guess, like get tickets to an event? Like at a lot of conferences, I'm thinking gaming conventions in general, you have to buy tickets to events, so that way they know how many people can attend it. Is there that sort of ability built into it?
In the registration process, setting up the registration, you can limit the number of registrations. It's not necessarily a ticketing process. We don't have something that you print out aside from the receipt that says, here's your ticket, but we can limit.
Dale, 20 seconds, then Luis, 20 seconds.
Just a suggestion, when you go to your website and click on websites, you give 12 samples, but the most recent is 2007. Can we assume you're still in business?
Right. This is
Luis.
Just, so a lot of MBAs, we have a lot of clubs and we're setting up events all the time, and we have a tool that we use called campus groups, and it does a lot of, this actually does more, it's more powerful, but it has some nicer features that might be interesting to look at.
okay. I ran across it today. Didn't have a chance to look
Okay,
into it, but I did just.
Susan, you're a popular presenter. Thank you very much, Susan Hardin. They have really good questions for you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
MediaOnion and Event Brains. All right. Can I get Tom? Tan? There you go. All right. So I'm supposed to vamp while.